Hi guys, I'm back. And today, as I mentioned to you guys, I was going to start recording, or not start because I'm already recording, aren't I? I'm going to show you guys how I do feathering, which is the two-toned hair technique. It kind of blends into another color or turns into another color. I think that's what they call feathering. I'm not sure. I just call it two-tone coloring. So, and as I mentioned to you guys before, I just kind of do things my own way. It's not the right way or not the, wrong way. It's just the way I do it. So we'll just color it two-toned coloring. Two-toned hair coloring. Okay, I'm going to start with my skin. I always do that. You guys know that. And I'm going to start with E21 and start outlining the areas that I feel would have the most shaded area. You'll have to excuse me if I sound a little froggy every now and then. I'm not quite over that whole thing with, I'm not sure what it was. I didn't really get sick down to where I was down for the count or anything like that. I just feel constantly tired. And my voice gets a little froggy every now and then. I think that's a little bit of maybe what Jude had. Being around Jude, since I'm always so close and hugging and kissing on him, I'm bound to get something. And that's okay, I'll take it. I don't think I'll ever start hugging that little boy. Okay, so that was E21. I'm going to go in next with my E11 and start making a little bit of blush. Or start giving her, giving her some blush. And outlining some shady areas or some areas where I feel that she should have more of a shade or contouring, not contouring, let's just call it shading. Areas that would be the darkest. Now I'm going to start blending those colors out with my E51. And I start dragging them out with my E51 just lightly. Now to me that looks just a little too flat still. So I'm going to go back in with my E21 and kind of darken those areas again. And it could be that I just recently changed out the nib and rejuiced my E21, that it's not as dark as usual. Usually I get a really dark tone with my E21. But again, that sometimes seems to be the case when I've been coloring quite a few images and it starts juicing up, or it starts to gather residue from the paper or from the other markers. As today my E21 isn't as dark, and that's okay. I'll just keep going back and forth with E21 and E11 until I get the desired tone or the desired, saturation of her cheeks. I'm doing that right now. I'm going back with my E11 on top of the E21 I just laid down on it. Okay. Now I see an area where I went into the eye with my E21, so I'm going to take care of that right now. I just find that sometimes when you make a mistake and it's still pretty fresh and wet, if you go into it with your colorless blender to get rid of that, it goes a little bit easier and smoother. Instead of waiting until it dries out, then maybe you're not able to fix that mistake or push that color back. Okay. Now with my E04, I'm going to do just a few outlines here, like on the bridge of her nose, just to give it a more profound look. And her hairline. And this is again E04, and I just went outside the line really bad, but that's okay. We'll fix that when we do her hair. Okay. Now you can leave it like that. I like the way it looks. However, if you wanted to make that E04 line a lot less harsh and more blended, then I would suggest you go back in there with your E21 and just slightly start moving or meshing those two colors together. But it is not necessary. It's just personal preference. There we go. Now I'm still, like I said, it's still kind of showing up for me, so I'm going to go in there and try to remove it again. And at some point you probably won't be able to. So you have to be really careful if you're really anal like I am about going outside the line. Okay. So there's her skin for now. Now comes the fun part. I'm going to give her a blue and brown look. So I'm going to start with my BG. Let's see. Excuse me. BG01. Okay, so I'm going to start laying down the foundation, as I call it, with my BG01. And this is just the way I do it. If anybody has easier ways to do it, by all means, you know, just take what you can and make it your own. Learning from everyone and being able to share with everyone is always really nice, just because you can take so much from one another. Well, I definitely taught myself how to color. Well, can't really say I taught myself how to color because I've been coloring for, you know, ages, since I was a little girl. You guys know what I mean. It is a learning curve to, you know, start coloring with different mediums than you're used to. I colored with crayons for many years, and all through high school I colored with Prismacolors, which were pencils. I had no idea about Copics. Had I known about Copics, who knows, I might have picked them up a lot sooner. But it is a learning curve, but more than anything, it's just practice. I just, you know, my biggest thing or advice for you all is just to practice. Play around with them. If you don't want to waste a lot of paper doing so, then just get some cheap brand paper. Nina usually works for me for when I want to just practice and see if a new technique is going to come out right for me or not. So just kind of, you know, play around with different types of papers as well. Nina is usually really, really bright, and so the colors are always really vibrant. Copic Express It paper it's kind of like a little tiny bit of gray tone to it, or blue tone. Not that you can, not visibly, just kind of when I look at it and take pictures I can notice it, but it's not a big deal. I really enjoy the Express It, and I have tried every paper out there, I think. Even the Hammer Mill, almost everything. Unless there's one I don't know about. So as you can see, I've kind of almost covered the entire area. I always leave a little bit of white just because that's my personal preference on how I do my shine. But I know a lot of people are not very comfortable with it, and that's, again, it's okay. You don't have to do it my way. I just want you to take the basics and kind of understand where I'm coming from or how I do things and take it and make it your own. I promise you, you'll be a lot happier that way if you just kind of take something that you've learned, or, you know, watch a technique and then just practice it on your own with the mindset that this is, you know, you're trying that way, but at the same time you just kind of want to get the gist of it so that you can make it your own style. And I promise you, like I said, it will be a lot more gratifying, and you'll really enjoy the results. That's what I had to finally do, because I kept trying to copy or mimic another person, whoever I saw out there, you know, because I watched a lot of YouTube videos while I was learning, and every time I would get so frustrated because it wasn't coming out exactly the same as theirs, until I finally just thought, okay, I'm just going to do this on my own. Let's just kind of relax, and what do you know, I finally got it. I'll have to excuse my phone in the background. I'm not sure who's calling. They're really trying to get a hold of me. Let's just hope it's not important, as I really don't want to stop the video and pause it, because then it creates a splice in the video and I have to upload 2 different videos and import 2 different videos, and it's just a pain. These videos take so long to upload, and I'm not sure why. I don't know if I'm doing something wrong or what it is, but hopefully this one won't take as long. Okay, so that was BG01. Now I'm going to go in with my E23. Remember, I'm giving it a 2-tone type of thing. Natural, and then like kind of streaks for different color tone. So E23, and I'm going to go in like I normally would. Start with the first color. You know how I always do the lightest color first, then the darkest, so same thing. Gonna do the exact same thing here. E23, I'm gonna let a lot of that blue shine through, because I want it to shine through. I don't want it to be kind of like a shine effect. I actually want it to look like her color is turning from brown to blue. Just like that. Maybe those weren't the best colors. It looks kind of icky, but I think it'll change once I add more colors to it. And again, maybe these weren't the best two colors to combine, but that might change. I'm just not liking the mossy look. It kind of looks mossy, if that makes sense. Kind of like a mermaid hair, which isn't too bad, I guess. She kind of does look like a mermaid if I would have finished the rest of her, right? Sometimes I just sit and sketch and I don't know what's going to come out. And this day I remember I was listening to one of Rio's band's music or songs that I kind of liked it. And it was it is called The Mortician's Daughter, and this is what I figured her to be. Kind of gothic, glam rock, big hair, pinup style. I'm sorry, I didn't realize I was blocking the view. I always try to remember to look up when I'm recording so that you can see the strokes where I'm laying them down. That's the unfortunate part of not doing it live, is that I sometimes won't catch it until it's already been recorded. And in the new year, I'm hoping to go back to the YouTube where we do it live, at least the first time around, and then leave it recorded for a couple of weeks. I think it allows me to leave it up for 2 weeks, which is the part that I kind of don't like about YouTube, or not YouTube, but Ustream. That, you can keep those videos on there for only a limited time. So unless you catch it live and catch it before the deadline of the video expiring, you can't see it. Where YouTube, you can leave it up as long as you want. Which makes it easier for everybody to view at their own pace and whenever and however many times they want. Okay. So, as you can see, it's pretty much doing what I actually wanted it to do. It's changing tones. It's still showing the blue. It's still showing a little bit. It's still showing a little bit of white as well for shine. Excuse me. I'm so sorry about that. But it is actually pretty much doing what I wanted to do. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in with my BG05 and I'm going to create a couple of strokes into that blue and brown. Just give it a little bit more of a dramatic feel or effect. It's like I have a speech impediment today. Now this causes a lot of saturation on your pens, so I highly recommend that once you do this, you kind of clean them off on your paper towel, as I recommended before. Or, if it's just really, really bad, just go ahead and clean up the nib and rejuice it. I noticed that a lot of my browns are very juicy all the time. And I'm not sure what that is all about. Maybe it's just got a little more red tint to it, or not I don't know how they make the colors, but I'm assuming that, at some point they have to use the same kind of primary colors, like, the reds and whatnot to mix and make other colors. So I don't know, just some ink and some tones just seem to be a little bit more saturated than others. For me, I don't know if that's the case for everyone. Now she's turning blue again, quite blue, and that's okay. Again, we're still going to go back in there with a couple of other brown or more brown shades. I really enjoy doing hair this way. I don't know why I don't do it more often. I think it's because I'm always so behind that I rarely have any time to color anymore, which is the other reason I want to start doing all these videos here in the new year, so that I give myself some time for, other things I enjoy, like coloring, not just drawing. And like I said, I think I've mentioned here and in some other videos, but every month I am hoping to have a video for you guys with different techniques, different favorite color combos, techniques on hair, curly hair, straight hair, any kind of hair, hair with no lines for guide, clothing, all that stuff. And as I get better with drawing animals, I might even have videos on that too. Okay, so she's looking pretty good, but I'm going to go in there with my E29 now and darken that brown. And I can see it is starting to just juice up really good here. My E29 is always very juicy, but still it's creating the jewel effect, kind of jewel tone effect that I wanted it to create. So it's okay. So as you can see, it's a very easy and basic technique. It's just about color layering. You always want to start with your lightest color, just because it lays out the foundation for you. But you might find that for you it's easier if you start with the darkest color. It's all a matter of preference. I am sorry, I am having a hard time with my E29 here. It's very juicy, and it's creating thick lines where normally I would want them to be just a little bit thinner. So I'm not sure if it's just coming out looking like a big blob on the screen there for you guys. I hope not. I'm hoping that you can actually see the different color tones that I'm seeing. Otherwise, this video was a bust. And I didn't teach you anything. But again, I'm hoping that's not the case. Sometimes when I look in the viewfinder, I notice that it looks very dark, and then once I import the video and watch the video myself, then I actually see the actual real colors, how they're supposed to be, and not so shaded or dark. So there you have it. I would suggest that you just try all kinds of different practicing techniques. Start off with your lightest color. If you don't like the way that turned out, go with your darkest color first. Go with the browns first, and then add the blues or whatever other color you want to use. Just practice away and see which you prefer the most. Did I just mess her up? I sure did. Okay. Nope. There she is. Like I said, that's what I consider my two-tone color, hair color. These little mistakes unfortunately happen again when your marker is so saturated that it starts kind of to get on your skin, and then you go around coloring and you place your hand down, so it's always going to, or not always, but it can smudge. If that happens, I suggest you just grab a piece of paper, a piece of scratch paper that you use just to kind of test out colors. I don't know if you guys do that. I do that quite a bit. Or like if I have my Netflix thing handy here, I will set it down where I'm not going to color and start coloring, so that if my hand rests on the paper, it's going to get on the Netflix instead of smudging my actual image. Because now I'll probably throw this away because I smudged it. So, unfortunately, I messed that one up. Let me finish her lips here. Just so we kind of go over my lips, or the way I do my lips. I go in with my R27, and I leave a little bit of white there in the middle. I jumped conversations on you guys real fast there. I did, didn't I? I went from explaining smudges to just let me do the lips. You can tell that was probably bugging me. That her lips are not colored in. I outlined it with R59. And I'm going to go in and kind of mesh it around or mix it around with my R02 so that that white area doesn't look just so white and plain, and it looks more like a shine, just like that. Okay, I'm gonna go in with my as much as I don't want to because it's so juicy, my E29, and color in her. Yeah, that marker is in need of some TLC and cleanup. It's very juicy. That's probably why my hair didn't turn out as great or as well as I wanted it to come out. But I'm hoping you guys kind of understood my point and how I do my two-tone hair. I'm going to do her eyeshadow. Start with the lightest color for me, and that would be BG01. And cleaning those markers and those nibs is going to really make a difference in your coloring. I know it's a pain, but it really does make a difference. BG05 here for the tips for the ends of her eyelids. And then drag all the colors out with my BG 000. I seem to be missing some. There you go. We drag them all out. Or mash the colors and move them around, however you want to call it. And let's see, let's do her eyes too. What color? I don't want to go over it with the browns right now because the browns are getting so juicy and so bad. Well, we can try some other brown colors. So let's go with E31. E33. And I'm going to jump to E25. Okay, and then with my colorless blender, as usual, I'm going to kind of mesh all of those colors together. And I take from the darkest and move it around to the lightest and bring them together. And there she is, all finished. Skin, hair, lips, makeup, eyebrows, all of it done. That's it. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I will see you guys on the next one.